Antarctica, a complete guide to the world's last frontier. Table of contents. 1. Introduction. 2. Geography of Antarctica, 2.1. Location and size, 2.2. Topography and Landscape, 2.3. Ice shelves and glaciers, 2.4. Key geographic features, mountains, volcanoes, and oceans. 3. History of Antarctic exploration, 3.1. Early theories and maps of Terra Australis, 3.2. First sightings and explorations, 19th century, 3.3. The Heroic Age of Antarctic Exploration, 1901-1922, 3.3.1. Roald Amundsen and Robert Falcon Scott, 3.3.2. Ernest Shackleton's Expeditions, 3.4. Post-Heroic Age Exploration and Scientific Missions. 4. Antarctic Treaty System, 4.1. Origins and Purpose, 4.2. Key Provisions of the Treaty, 4.3. Environmental Protection Protocols, 4.4. Challenges and Future of the Treaty. 5. The Climate of Antarctica, 5.1. Extreme Cold, the coldest place on Earth, 5.2. The Polar Climate and Seasons, 5.3. Wind Patterns and Weather Phenomena. 6. Flora and Fauna of Antarctica, 6.1. Marine Life, Penguins, Seals, and Whales, 6.2. Birds of Antarctica, 6.3. Invertebrates and Microbial Life, 6.4. Adaptations to Extreme Conditions, 6.5. Terrestrial Ecosystem, Mosses, Lichens, and Algae. 7. Human Presence in Antarctica, 7.1. Research Stations and Scientists, 7.2. Life at a Research Station, Daily Routines and Challenges, 7.3. Impact of Human Activity on the Environment, 7.4. Antarctic Tourism. 8. Geopolitics and Antarctica, 8.1. Territorial Claims by Various Nations, 8.2. International Cooperation and Tensions, 8.3. Resource Exploitation and Mineral Rights, 8.4. China's growing interest in Antarctica. 9. Scientific Research in Antarctica, 9.1. Studying Climate Change in the Ozone Hole, 9.2. Astronomy and Astrophysics, Observing from Antarctica, 9.3. Glaciology and Ice Core Sampling, 9.4. Marine Biology and Oceanography, 9.5. Antarctica as an analog for space exploration. 10. Environmental Threats and Conservation Efforts, 10.1. Global Warming and Ice Melt, 10.2. Pollution and Plastic Waste, 10.3. Invasive Species and Ecosystem Disruption, 10.4. Conservation Initiatives and Protected Areas. 11. The Future of Antarctica, 11.1. Predicted Impacts of Climate Change, 11.2. The Future of the Antarctic Treaty, 11.3. Scientific Discoveries on the Horizon, 11.4. Antarctica's Role in Global Geopolitics. 12. Conclusion Sample Section, History of Antarctic Exploration 3.1. Early theories and maps of Terra Australis. Long before Antarctica was officially discovered, ancient scholars speculated about the existence of a southern continent, which they called Terra Australis. Ancient Greek philosophers such as Aristotle and Ptolemy hypothesized that a vast landmass must exist in the southern hemisphere to balance the known lands of the north. These early ideas were primarily theoretical and based on the concept of a symmetrical Earth, where a counterbalance was needed to stabilize the planet. During the Age of Exploration, 15th-17th centuries, as European explorers ventured southward, the quest to discover Terra Australis gained traction. Early maps depicted a massive, undefined land at the southernmost part of the globe, though no one had yet seen the true Antarctic landmass. 3.2. First sightings and explorations, 19th century. The first recorded sightings of Antarctica occurred in the early 19th century. In 1820, several expeditions claimed to have glimpsed the frozen continent. Russian explorer Fabian Gottlieb von Bellingshausen, British naval officer Edward Bransfield, and American sealer Nathaniel Palmer are often credited with being the first to lay eyes on the Antarctic mainland. While these initial voyages were primarily focused on sealing and whaling, they marked the beginning of systematic exploration. Over the next several decades, more expeditions set out to chart the mysterious and hostile continent. 3.3. The heroic age of Antarctic exploration, 1901–1922, the period between 1901 and 1922 is known as the heroic age of Antarctic exploration, characterized by ambitious expeditions and the race to reach the South Pole. This era saw the involvement of legendary figures such as Roald Amundsen, Robert Falcon Scott, and Ernest Shackleton. Roald Amundsen and Robert Falcon Scott. In 1911, Norwegian explorer Roald Amundsen became the first person to reach the South Pole. His expedition was meticulously planned, relying on skis and dog teams to traverse the harsh landscape. Amundsen's success came at the expense of Robert Falcon Scott, whose British expedition arrived at the pole just weeks later, only to face disaster on their return journey. Scott and his team perished in the brutal Antarctic conditions, immortalizing their story as one of both triumph and tragedy. Ernest Shackleton's expeditions. Another figure synonymous with Antarctic exploration is Ernest Shackleton. Although Shackleton never reached the South Pole, his expeditions are famous for their endurance and survival. His endurance expedition, 1914–1917, saw his ship trapped in ice, ultimately leading to one of the most incredible survival stories in exploration history, as Shackleton led his crew to safety after being stranded for months. 3.4. Post-heroic age exploration and scientific missions. After the heroic age, exploration of Antarctica shifted from conquest to scientific discovery. In the decades that followed, numerous countries established research stations on the continent, leading to collaborative scientific missions. The International Geophysical Year, IGY, of 1957–1958 was a turning point, as it fostered unprecedented cooperation among nations to study Antarctica's climate, geology, and biology. The IGY also laid the foundation for the Antarctic Treaty, which would establish Antarctica as a zone of peace and science. Sample section, Flora and Fauna of Antarctica 6.1. Marine life, penguins, seals, and whales. Despite its extreme conditions, Antarctica is home to a remarkable array of wildlife, particularly in its surrounding seas. The Southern Ocean is one of the most biologically productive regions on Earth, thanks to nutrient-rich waters that support vast ecosystems. Penguins. Antarctica is synonymous with penguins, and several species thrive in its icy environment. The emperor penguin, the largest of all penguin species, breeds exclusively in Antarctica, enduring the continent's harsh winters to raise its young. Adelie penguins are also abundant, known for their comical waddling and strong social bonds. Seals. The icy waters of Antarctica support various seal species, including the Weddell seal, leopard seal, crab-eater seal, and elephant seal. Each species has adapted to the Antarctic environment in unique ways, with some, like the Weddell seal, capable of diving to extreme depths in search of fish. Whales. The Southern Ocean is a critical feeding ground for several whale species, including blue whales, humpback whales, and orcas, killer whales. These majestic creatures migrate thousands of kilometers to feast on the abundant krill found in Antarctic waters. Sample section, The climate of Antarctica 5.1. Extreme cold. The coldest place on Earth, Antarctica, holds the record for the coldest temperature ever recorded on Earth. In 2010, satellite data captured a temperature of 128.6 degrees Fahrenheit, 89.2 degrees Celsius, in the East Antarctic Plateau. The continent is also home to some of the most inhospitable weather conditions, with blizzards and katabatic winds capable of reaching speeds over 100 miles per hour, 160 kilometers per hour. Antarctica's climate is classified as polar, characterized by long, freezing winters and brief, cold summers. While coastal regions can experience slightly milder temperatures during the summer months, up to 32 degrees Fahrenheit or 0 degrees Celsius, the interior remains frozen year-round, with temperatures rarely rising above *20 degrees Fahrenheit, 29 degrees Celsius.